Last time on Reddle's Pub.
Believing that suddenly allowed me to, and I've said it on here, had allowed me to just travel this journey without stress and anxiety and depression and all those things, because suddenly you realize probably I'm exactly where I need to be when I need to be. There is the question of, okay, so is there really such thing as free will versus non-free will? You know, I'm kind of on the fence with that.
Welcome to Reddle's Pub, where spirituality is explored without the baggage of religion, and truth is something we chase with drink in hand. We talk science, the supernatural, and the big questions about the world around us. Always open to new ideas and perspectives. Our goal? To find understanding in the unexplainable and have some interesting conversations along the way. No dogma, no boundaries, just a couple of seekers and some interesting guests digging into the uncharted territory of the unknown. Grab a drink, sit back, and join us.
Part of me doesn't want to believe in that, anything else tells me what to do except for me. On the other hand, there's part of me that's like, why the fuck did I do that? And that was stupid. I knew it was stupid and I still did it. Why did I do it? It's kind of, the idea would be maybe there's some certain, as you said earlier, milestones that we place that we are destined to hit or to do, to expect or to experience. And if that's true, then maybe there's a life where I was female. Maybe there was a life where I was a different race or ethnicity altogether. Maybe there's a different life where I was impoverished. Maybe there's a different life where I was wealthy. And why is that? It's because at some point my soul needed to experience those different aspects of life. And there's no way I can experience every aspect of life to ever exist in one single existence. And so in that case, in that way, it allowed me to say, you know what, I'm not perfect now. Maybe I never will be perfect. Or not even perfection, because I have a different way of looking at perfection. For maybe it's that I want to be at this certain level in this certain way at this certain time in my life. Well, if I don't hit that, that's okay. Because maybe in the next life I hit that. Maybe I wasn't meant to hit that in this life. It's just a goal that I wanted to hit. And so it really allows me to allowed me to sit back and say, you know what, I'm just going to walk this path, with the light that only shines one step ahead of me at a time. We learned that in in the Old Testament, where it was, it only lights just far enough for you to see right in front of you. And just allows me to set, you know what, it's okay. My anger this last week, it's okay. For some reason, I was meant to go through that, experience that. Maybe it's a lesson that I need to learn. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the experience of going through it, which changes the way I look at the world in general. You try to help everybody you can help, but maybe you can't help people because they're not meant to be helped. Maybe they're meant to go through what they're going through at that moment in time. And is that bad? I don't know. I try to help as many people as I can, as I come across, but I can't help everybody. And so, do I stress over the people I can't help? I can't stress over the people I can't help. There's people that I have no knowledge of that need help. So, it's either beat yourself up about not helping everybody, saving the world, each one reach one kind of stuff. That comes from our Christian upbringing in some ways, because we're taught that, our purpose in life is to save others. Well, that's fine and dandy when you're in Christianity, but when you're outside of Christianity, what is the save others? What does that look like? Well, looks like I need to give money to the poor. Looks like I need to do this for that. And after a while, you know, I only have so much money I can give. I only have so much of me I can give away. I only have so much of my spirit that I can, by that I mean my energy, that I can give away to help. So I help those I can, and that's about all I can do.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, some of the things that you said here. So I want to get to your reflections of what you've read so far in the book, but I also, really, really appreciate, kind of that soul passing from one existence to another existence. I find that just fascinating, and I think it's interesting. Does the soul know where it's going to go? Does the soul know the journeys that this crazy body is going to put it through, right? And I do like, one of my favorite things that you said in that piece just now was that I'm able to just relax and let it, like, know that it's just, the course is already there. Do I believe that my steps are ordered? Maybe, right? And maybe what I'm going through is exactly what I was meant to go through. Do I believe in truth and consequence? Yes. I do believe that if I behave A, I'm going to then have a consequence of B. And I believe, that is regardless. So I find that, there's this kind of free will. You're a free will agent, right? So in that free will agent space, you can go and do whatever you want, truthfully. However, there is going to be the consequence of that. So flipping those two pieces, but then I also appreciate, like, whatever is. And depending on you and what you put out there is what results you're also going to get. And and then sometimes there's just the stroke of good luck that comes your way, and it's kind of an interesting kind of play on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that I've always, for the last probably year, have pondered and this butted heads with myself, this dichotomy of belief, because, like you said, I don't want to, I want to believe in free will, that I can go do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, and however I want to do it, and that's my choice. But then at the same point, I don't know that that's true. I just don't know that it's true. I listened to an atheist. I can't remember his name. I can't find it now. It's one of those things I came across. Now I can't find it anywhere. But I swear I did. Either that or I dreamed it. But but this guy was talking about, he's an atheist, doesn't believe in God, and he doesn't believe in free will. And I'm like, well, how does that work? I mean,
You've chosen.
I mean, if you believe in fate, it has to be fate somehow. It has to come from somewhere. But his thought process behind it was, it's your desire. And he said he really likes vanilla. His example was he really likes vanilla ice cream. And he likes vanilla ice cream more than he likes chocolate ice cream. So anytime he goes and buys ice cream, he buys vanilla. He said, so really, that's not a choice. That's what I want. I like that more than I like chocolate, which, okay, I got you. He said, so if someone comes to me, it's like, you always buy vanilla ice cream. He said, maybe I go buy chocolate that time because I want to be right more than I want vanilla ice cream. And so that changes the fact that I have free will, that I'm doing what I desire or what I want more so than what is free will. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of deep. And I don't know that I believe it entirely because that's kind of hurting my brain a little bit. But at the same time, maybe that's true. Maybe our desires are not necessarily free will. It's our desire. And maybe our desire is not what we think we believe. It's what someone has put in us to believe. If that makes sense. It's what part of our upbringing causes us to believe a certain way, and we react to and that's true. We react to certain situations according to the way we were raised. I mean, you and I still struggle with that today.
Sure.
And so how much of that is free will, or how much of that is just a reaction to history or desire or contrarianism or, whatever that is. And is that really free will? And it was an interesting thought process that caused me to sit back and really think that. Not that changed my mind on free will or not free will. It was interesting that this guy brought that up, and I was not anti what he was saying. I was not against what he was saying, but I was not completely sold. But it was enough for me to be like, that's an interesting take from a non-spiritual aspect of free will versus non-free will. But I think we'll always argue with that, or butt heads with that.
Sure. So I know in the book, one of the quotes that I really liked is where he was quoting someone else, and he quoted and give credit, but I don't have it verbatim, and I almost make myself mad doing this, but it is learn like, it was about learning. So learn like you learn. Oh no, I'll come back to it. Hold on. I had it a second ago and then it's spaced out of my brain. So the concept of it around it was learn like you are learning for today. Don't learn like you're learning for today. Learn like you're learning for life. It's not the quote. I took a picture of it, so here in a second I'll go back and look at it. But I like some of those pieces in the book, because he does a good job of providing external wisdom into pieces of this that I find, I find nuggets there for sure. I'm like, man, I really like this quote. This is something I want to put up, write up somewhere or put, as a reminder to myself. And so he's done a good job of researching others, and he's well read from what I can see. I am very curious about his faith. I can't even pronounce it. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, I don't know either.
The hallelujah.
Yeah, I don't know.
For those that believe, or that is your faith. I apologize that I don't know or understand what that is. And even as we talked about like his rituals around his father, I was very curious, like, wow, what is this? And how does this faith? And apparently it's something that he has grown up believing, or has, even his father, his father's wishes. So there's some interest in that, just to learn more about what is this and what does that body of believers look like. And it's so interesting. I thought about it on my way here today. I probably passed 70 churches on my way here. And what is interesting about that is, even on this road coming to your neighborhood, I saw different churches, different names. And I think of some of these churches, what is the draw to one versus another? And I don't discredit one, I don't discredit another, because it all is, at least there is someone there that is trying to lead people and help people in this journey that they have. And so I don't discredit that. I do discredit those that are, in it for money. And I had a conversation with a friend this week where we were talking about some of these churches have really just, when it's generational churches, a lot of times they are just building wealth, and they're building, and it's become a business. And to me, I struggle with that.
A legacy.
It is a legacy.
Not a legacy of God, per se.
Legacy of their family.
Yeah.
They're passing it on from one to the next. And she mentioned a church, and I won't say its name. It's a different faith than what you and I grew up as. But she mentioned the church, and it's like, it's all about business. They talk to their door greeters about how to make a sales pitch. And making sure we get contact information, and making sure, and it's all about lead generation when you start thinking about how it's all the sales pitch. And if it's your first time coming, you get a package, like a care package, but we give you that care package only if you fill out our information so we can harass you later. And we now make it nice and cute to be able to pay your tithes. We now have an app where you can go in and pay this is all about a business. And I've seen it and face that, where we came from a lot, but they've gotten smart. They've learned how to build, how to build a marketing ploy to make people want to do this. And so, a lot of it is around money. And I find it so interesting, the stuff that was so wrong for us when we were kids, right? That is not wrong today. And I'm like, wait, before y'all would say, well, when we challenged like, men wearing beards, it was like, well, that was wrong. That was wrong back in the 40s and 50s. And, the word of God is the same today, yesterday, and forever, right? And it's like,
unless I change it tomorrow.
Unless we change it, right? And television is another example. And, I guess with the internet,
there's no way to control it.
You can't beat it. Might as well join them. So, I don't know. I just find it really just interesting as, part of all of this. So I want to hear more about your.
So let me say one thing.
Sure.
So going back to our original conversation when we first started, what you're talking about, Celeste was saying that's a form of godliness.
When you were saying that, give me
for instance, the TV thing.
Okay.
We had this form of godliness where we didn't watch TV, or we didn't wear this, or we didn't wear that, or we didn't wear the other. Or maybe we're trying to hook people up with lead generations. That's a form of godliness in that. And by godliness, I don't mean like true godliness. It's a form of what God would have them do, but it's denying the very power thereof. In other words, it's taking church, which should be, even if you don't believe in Christianity, church should be about taking care of the poor. These things, the downtrodden, the those who are not well-to-do. But we've turned that into a business. So our form of godliness, or their form of godliness, denies the very power thereof, which is Mother Teresa being impoverished, taking care of people. Being impoverished, I guess I should say, not impoverished, but being impoverished and taking care of people. That to me is godly. Regardless, it doesn't matter if it's Mother Teresa or whomever who doesn't even believe in God, taking care of the poor. That's more godly than, here's an app. Let me take your tithes. Let me go ahead and make it easy for you to pay me to do things. That's the way I look at that. They have a form of godliness, but they deny the true gifts.
Yeah, now the apple's still in mangoes.
Yeah.
Read your tithes.
So, back to the book. You mentioned his father dying. So one of the things I highlighted was, quote, this vessel was not my father. The reality of Robert George Wilson, abstract painter, sewer truck dispatcher, science fiction writer, Seahawks fan, student of spirituality. He of the twinkling eyes and chuckling laughter was not contained in or defined by this, or for lack of a better word, corpse. His father wasn't contained in the corpse. Yes, his sweet face was there, his occasional stray eyebrow hair jutting up like some weed from the sidewalk crack. I got those. His mustache was there, recognizable scars and moles on his arms and hands. But that wasn't him. That still vacant body on a hospital bed in the ICU was simply a suit he once wore. Which, the suit thing, that entire thing is really good. I love that, because that means that even this, because it's this is not me. This body, it's not who I am. It's the conveyance of who I am. It's the appearance. It is the manifestation of who I am. It's not actually who I am. It just allows me to experience the things of this world. And that's kind of what I got from there, was this, when I die, that won't be me laying on that table. That'll be, Ram Dass, I think I said this, and I don't remember if it was the podcast or what, but Ram Dass talks about, death. We always look in the Western world as death as a bad thing. It's horrible. It's scary. It's frightening. He said, but death is like at the end of the day, when you get home and you've worn shoes that are too tight and you can finally take them off. Death is when you take them off and you've taken off this mortal coil that doesn't fit really well. He talks about, he said, I'm born in this suit, this spacesuit. He calls it a spacesuit. He says it doesn't fit really well. I really don't like it. It doesn't fit really well. He said, but I'm born with it. Not only am I born with this suit, then my parents started saying they wanted me to do this, this, and this. And so they put their idea of the suit on me. So not only am I uncomfortable in my own skin, I'm uncomfortable in their skin that they want me to be in. He said, but all of this is temporal. It's at the end of the day, it's taking off that uncomfortable shoe that you're free to be whatever that next iteration of existence is. In the Western world, we've fucked up quite a bit of shit. Death is probably one of those. I don't know how many times I had anxiety attacks growing up because I thought I was dying. You know what I mean? I had that guy prophesy over me when I was 13 that I would be dead by the time I was 30. I had so many anxiety attacks that 29 year that because I was afraid of dying. But why was I afraid of dying? I was actually going to church and shit. My next iteration would have been streets of gold and gates of pearl. Theoretically, But why was I afraid of dying? These days, I'm kind of like where I am right now, so I don't really particularly want to die, but I'm not afraid of it. If it happens, it's just taking off that suit and moving on to the next suit or whatever that is. Do we, as my brother used to say, do we go to some break room where you and I have this contract that we contract in the spiritual sense that we had this podcast now, or he and I were only supposed to be in the podcast the first year and a half, and then you and I are supposed to be for X amount of time. And there's this understanding that maybe we had this plan from all along. I don't know. It's a great idea. It's like I said, it makes me relax into who I am. Allows me to be present in this iteration, in these thoughts, in these words, and not really worry so much about what tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow's going to be tomorrow. Yesterday was yesterday. It's all I can do is look at this right here, right now, and try to be as present as I can, talking to you, even though I know that this is a podcast and we're talking to other people generally, but really, I want this to be me and you talking about the things that we struggle with and the things we talk about and the things that we love and hate and all that stuff.
Believe in the moment.
Yeah, believe right here, right now.
In that moment.
And that may change next. We record another month. We're probably going to be, we'll obviously be two different people, but still we have to be present and to completely engage in what is now and allow it to be what it is. Don't stress over, these ancillary things that sometimes just don't matter. They're just, because at the end of the day, what's it about?
It's all noise.
Yeah, it's just the white noise in the back that may help you sleep sometimes, may keep you up at night sometimes, may, but whatever. But what's most important is this. And people finding their own. If I could suggest anything, find your own people, your own tribe, to quote Seth Godin. Find your own, find your tribe that works for you and chase it.